Hey everybody, we're back after the midterm and we're going to look at something that's going to bring together some of the skills we've already learned. We're going to try and tell an extremely basic story using animation and a character. Now, for the purpose of this, at this moment in time, the character itself won't be animated in the true sense. It will be moving, but the character will remain steady. What we're really trying to achieve here is the capacity to tell a story with a character on screen and using some sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this little animation. Try not to be freaked out by it. I'll talk us through it. You can have a look and see what you think. Okay. Now, character comes up. My favorite film or whatever. So as you see, we have images that are sliding in, the character's moving around, we're getting speech bubbles. Now what I want to do is, instead of using speech bubbles, is to record your voice onto your phone and then email those clips to yourself and then drop them onto the timeline as the instructions there said. So don't be too freaked out by all of this, because we've done all of this in little separate pieces, but for the moment what we're going to do is we're going to try and put some of them together. Now, there's a couple of things happening here. Let me scrub through the timeline and show you. Okay, so our character comes up from the bottom and we get a speech bubble. And it says, my favorite film. Now, what I want you to do for this is I want you to choose your favorite film. It can be an animated film, it can be an actual film, it can be whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be a film. I want this to be whatever you want it to be. But you have to explain or tell me 5 things about this thing using a character, using a slideshow with the images moving, and basically telling a story in the same way that this animation is. So we're going to travel along here. So what happens is the speech bubble comes up. Now, as I'm scrubbing this line, it doesn't look the way it did in the animation. That's because I'm using a mask. Now, as we remembered with masks, masks reveal, they don't conceal. So wherever the mask is, that white box you see in front of you is our mask. Now, there's actually 2 of these white boxes. The one on the background, which is behind that, is just the white box to make it look like a poster on a wall. And the one in front is a mask. So what happens is, if you look down here, you'll see that our mask layer, it's inset the one underneath it, so it's activated as a mask. What that's doing is that's revealing the images sliding in, which is why in the video when we showed it, I'll just run it again just to let you see it. In the video, the images, we can't see them off the side of the screen there. They only turn up within the white box. So have a look. There you go. So that white box basically will only reveal what's passed in behind it. So when we go back in here, you'll see that this won't be visible. So what actually happens is, as we slide along here, that image comes in and stops, and we get to see it. And then our character moves to the right. Another speech bubble comes up. And then the image moves again. So let's look at how we're doing some of this. Firstly, what I have there are 5 images that I downloaded from the internet, and I put them together in one long wide image. Now I'm gonna address that firstly, okay? So I'm gonna bring over my Photoshop image here onto the screen and let you show you. This is very, very straightforward. So what I have is, sorry, I've got a 3 monitor set up here. And when you bring your Photoshop window over, it leaves all the other ones there. Okay, so I got 5 images and I put them all into one long banner so I could just animate them at the same time. Now here is how I did something like that. I took my first image. I'm going to use the one at the back, right? Roy Batty. Now, I take this image and I throw it in front, and then I close it. I take this one. I take this one. I'm just dragging them all into the same image at the moment. So I've got 5 images in there now, and you can see there's 5 of them here, right? Now, I'm going to duplicate the back one as I always do. Sorry, these windows are turning up off screen. So now I have 5 images there. So what I want is to put them in one wide image, so I can basically just scroll them along. Now, there's other ways of doing this, but this is how we're doing it this time. So if I go up to Image, Canvas, it's over there, and I look at the width. Now, the width of one of these images, because they're all the same, I did them in Photoshop, right? So the width of one of these images is 1392. So I need the image to be 5 times that. So 1392, said he on his calculator, on his phone, by 5 is 6960. So if I change the width to 6960, and I say OK. We don't see very much, so I go view, fit on screen. Now, so there is that image. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this image here and I'm going to slide it to the left. And then I take this one and I do the same. I'm going to match all these up now in a second. I'm going to move this one over here. And I'm going to take that one and put it there. Ooh. And that one. Now, what we can tell by this is that they're all out by a little bit, so they're not exactly all the same size. So what I have there now on my images, I've got 5 images. There's a bit of a gap around them, so that's okay. So all I have to do now is I go into my crop and I'm going to cut the bottom and ever so slightly cut the top and take the side. So, and I go image, crop. Now I am doing this in a bit of a hurry, so as you can see they're not perfect. We'll do it again. Okay, so yeah, right. I'll bring that one up. Okay. Okay, so there's basically all 5 images in one banner, and there's a little slip on the right hand side. That's fine. So if I go File, Save As, and I save that as a JPEG or a PNG, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to call it all 5 images, and I go save. What I basically have done there now is I've made an image to bring into Adobe Animate, just like this one here. So let me zoom out of this one for a second. And you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images. So that's all I've done. So all I did at that stage was import that, and I have it over here, Blade Runner all 5 images. I import that in so I can then animate it going to the left. Now I don't have to do that. I could bring 5 of them in, I could turn them into a slideshow, but we haven't really gotten that far. So bringing one image in is going to be fine for what we want to do at the moment. Okay, so we've gotten that far. So all we need to do at this stage is we bring in our wall, put it onto our background. I've got 2 white boxes. I'm going to hide the mask and hide the images. Okay. This white box here is just the initial white box that we see when we run the animation. I then have another white box above it, which I've called mask, and the images are in between. So I can, if I select on that and go, don't be a mask, you'll see that this is no longer inset. But when I right click on it and go mask, it is inset. So this mask will only reveal what's directly underneath it, which is the images. So let's look at my images layer. Okay, so I'm going to hide everything else so you can see what I'm doing. And all I want to see is that. Okay, so there's my images. So what do? Nothing happens at the beginning. It moves in and it stops. So the first piece, I basically turn it into a motion tween. It moves in and it stops. So between this keyframe and this keyframe, it doesn't do anything. And then from here, it moves again. And as you remember from the animation, while it's moving, the character is also moving and little speech bubbles are coming up. Then it moves again. Okay, so we've selected this layer here. So you can basically see what's happening. I'm moving it, stopping it, moving it, stopping it, moving it, stopping it. So the idea is that when these pictures are on screen, your character will be saying something about the images. So you choose something that you want to talk about. And then just slide it. Now you can see how many. I've gone up to 700 frames here. You might need a little bit longer. If you've got 500 images, or sorry, if you've got 5 images and it's going to take a second or so for them to move, and then you'll have to calculate how many frames you need to be able to talk about them for those number of seconds. So your animation could easily be 1,000 frames or 1,500 frames depending what it is. I'm going to give you 5 characters. Let me show you what they are. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to make your own, that's perfectly okay. I've given you the speech bubble and I've given you the wall. Please feel free to do whatever you want to do. Okay, you want to use a different character? Get one off the internet. You want to use a different background? Get one off the internet. I'm perfectly fine with you using anything that you want. There's going to be a little bit of work in this. There goes my speaker. There's going to be a little bit of work involved in this, but it's not that difficult. It's basically a culmination of everything we have done up until now. Okay, so I'm going to be available for a full 3.5 hours to answer any questions. Just let me know anything that you need to know and I will help you out.